Page 2, Nobody Knows the Trouble I've Seen. This piece is in a number of method books, but this arrangement is really nice. I like this arrangement very much, but it's kind of tricky. Now let's talk about this. It's in cut time, but any piece that's in cut time, when I'm first learning it, I put it in 4/4 time, and then after I get it learned, I put it back in cut time. So I'm going to talk about this as if it is in 4/4 time, where a quarter note gets a count, because in cut time a half note gets a count, and forget that. So let's just go 4/4 for now. 1 sharp, G major or E minor. Well, if you look at the end, that last note is a G. I'm guessing this is probably overall in G major. I mean, it may change as the piece goes on, but overall I think it is. So 1 sharp, all F's are sharped, and there's accidentals. Right hand first. Let's just make sure we got the fingering and the notes. Now I do this one hand at a time so I can focus on it in case for the fingering and all to get that worked out, and then I'll go try to put the hands together. So at the beginning you're up here, 1, 2, 3. Try and play this legato with the hands right now. Forget these slurs and everything and just try and play it all legato. Now you can't because you're going to move around, but that's okay because you're starting here and then third measure you're down here. If you've got fat fingers, you can't do that, then I suggest third finger on the E. So you can do a 2/5 here and avoid that. Otherwise, their fingering is fine. And then come up, hold this whole note down. Now you got 2 whole notes, hold those down as you play the second G. You're kind of stuck with that. Try and do that if you can. If you can't, then you got to come down to here or something. That's kind of awkward. And then the chord, I'll come back to this chord, but for the right hand it is a C, D, and an F sharp. And then going on, now it's bass clef. Now we're down here. And they're saying 2. I don't like that fingering, I really don't. I don't see any reason for it. Follow this. I'm just going to stay in this position. Do 4 and then 3/5. Hold the half note down. I do all of that in that position. I don't see any reason to be moving around there. I really don't. So you can use the fingering in the book if you want. It's 1/3 and then 1/4 and then cross over. But I see no reason for that. I just stay in one position here. You got to come up in the next line anyway. You're going back to treble clef up here. And now it's a 5. And that C is just a dotted half note. You don't hold that down. You just so the G is by itself. And that C is tied. Watch all these tied notes are all over the place. And then up here, that's a B, not a C. And then you come to here, and then bass clef. And the same fingering as before. I'm going to use a 4 and a 3/5. And then the chord is a G sharp, D, F sharp. You can do that if your hands are real big. Otherwise, their fingering is fine. I'll talk about this more when we do the hands together. And then you come up to catch the quarter note. Try and play the top note legato. And then here, it's a 2/5. You can use this as your anchor point. Come over here. You don't have to raise up and move. We don't want to separate ourselves from the keyboard anymore than we have to. It's just safer if you can stay down and just move. And then hold the G down as you play these other notes. And then a bunch of half notes. Do a 2/5 for the third measure there in the second line if you want, or if 1/5, it doesn't matter. And then the chord, the right hand does the B, D, G, and then a G, B, E, and then here The A is tied, hang on to it, and then come up. Make sure you hold these half notes down. We got multiple voices in here. We got to allow for them. The B is tied here or here if your hands are real big. And I do a 4 and then substitute the 5. So it's here. And again, do a 4 and substitute the 5. I just want them legato. And then hold that down as you do these. And then we come back up here. And then come down here. Or whichever fingering you're using. And then you got this arpeggio going up. Last measure of that line. I like that fingering, that's good. And then the next line, second measure, you're up here. And then the left hand gets the rest of it actually. Speaking of left hand, let's take a look at that. You have treble clef at the beginning, you're up here, 2-1, and then a 4-2, and then come down here, then now it's a 3-1, and then a 5-2. Try and connect them. And then a 2 on the B flat. Don't be using thumb for everything. And then a treble clef, you get the A, the D and the A, and then you also come over and hit the high D. I'll come back to this when I get the hands together. Then going on, your bass clef here and then treble clef. The left hand's going to be crossing over the right. You're just going to love it. I know you are. It's just here, 2, 3, rest. Bass clef, treble clef, bass clef. It doesn't matter on this one because both notes are black keys, so even with big hands, you should still be able to move up here. Okay. Just follow their fingering, it's okay. The D is tied there. Treble clef, F natural, G sharp. Have you lost where I'm at? I'm on the last line on page 2. Let's start at the beginning of that line here, just in case you got lost where we're at. We're here. Here. And third measure, hold the D down. Rest. Now here, F natural, G sharp. Rest, bass clef. Treble clef, bass clef. Treble clef. Isn't this fun? Their fingering is good, except here. This is top of page 3, second measure. They're saying 5. And here, no. If you're going to do that, use 4 or 3, whichever on the G. Don't use 5. 3 works well if you can reach it. This way you're in position for the 5-2. Could be a 5-1. I don't know why they want 5-2. They do, okay. And you also have to play that top note in that chord. I'll come back to that when we get the hands together. Go on. It's here. And then the G is a whole note. Hold it down. They're saying 3. It doesn't have to be 3. It can be a 2. And you can do a 1 or just connect this. Legato. Here. Next line. Treble clef. And then the chords is G here, and then here, and here. And if your hands are big enough, do it 3-2 on the D, F sharp. Treble clef again for the third line. Now here's the 3-1, 4-2. Now here you can do the 5-1. It's a little awkward, because now you need an F sharp D next. If your hands are big enough, do a 2. Otherwise, you're going to do this. If your hand's small enough, that's not a problem. You can do that. That's fun. And then here. At the end of the line, third line, the G is tied. So hang on to that as you play the D. And then the next line, treble clef, bass clef, 5-2, and then the end. Last line, treble clef. I like their fingering, use that, 4, not 3. And then you have a G and a B with an 8 VA over them, you're up here. Don't lean on these extremes, just turn your body in that direction and reach. And then you also get the last note, which is a G, way down here. Doesn't matter what finger you use, just use a finger. Then we attempt to put the hands together and see how it goes. This is where sometimes the fingering we picked will work, and sometimes we got to figure that out again. We'll see. So we're here. And again, I'm still trying to play everything as legato as I can. I'm not worrying about dynamics or articulation and none of that. I'm just notes and fingering and rhythm is all, and then we're here. And then here. So you gotta hold all these notes down. The only one played is the G, and then here. And then the chord, the arpeggiated chord, the wavy line, one note at a time, quickly, just bloop. And different people interpret it differently. I play the bottom note on the beat, so when it comes, so that's 4 beats. And when the next beat comes, that's it. And you hold these down. You can't hold these down because it moved, but hold. And then a 1 beat rest, and then we're going on. That's all introduction. That's why the double bars are there. It's a different section. Introduction. Now we start the piece. Down here, the right hand has to come over. But it's a quarter note. So when you play the E, you lift up. So that E is by itself. See there, and this is the third measure of the last line on page 2. The bottom note in his hand is tied. You're just changing the top note here, and then 1 beat rest gives you a chance to move up here. All the notes are changing there, and then we're back down here again. This chord, this third measure, top page 3, it's a 1 note at a time, like we did before. Hold these down, and I play the first note on the beat. And then that's by itself. Hold these whole notes down. Lift up. And these chords, again, they're arpeggiated, 1 note at a time on the beat. That A is tied. Hang on to that through the whole thing. Chords are different than you had before, look out. And again, that B is tied. And here, that doesn't sound real good, but that's what it is. And then the G is tied, and so it's here. And that, see the double bars? See, that's the end of the piece. The rest of this is like a coda stuck on. So it's a different section. Here. Now here. And here. Connect all of these nice and smooth and even. And that you hold on for 4 counts and 4/4 time. And then that last note. There's no rest or nothing, but don't worry about it. The pedal's going to help you out. Just come down. You don't have to rush it. You got time. Just come down here because it's very soft, but I'll come back to that. Now once you got the hands working together, then we can go back and add the articulation. See, when I learn a piece of music, I like to do it just one thing at a time. I add, because my brain, I can't concentrate on everything at once. So now I got that mechanical part working. Now I want to add some the slurs and stuff. So here at the beginning, there's no slurring in the left hand. I just connect the left hand as best I can. I can't connect it because they're chords, but as close as I can. This the right hand got slurs. Lift up. You're going to lift up both hands. Lift up. There's no articulation here. Just play it as connected as you can. And then here. How fast you play this is entirely up to you. It just depends on what you get to know the piece, and you'll feel this. I'll talk about that in a minute. But it's not just so as quick as you can. No. It's out of context for this piece. Anyway, let's go on. After the double bars, you're down here. Slurs. Lift up. Now there's no slurring given in here. I suggest, in my opinion, you just slur all that together. They didn't give there's words to this song. If you had the words and you could follow the sentences and the words to know how the slurs should go, they didn't do anything. I would connect all this and all that, and then a new slur at this. To me, that's, it's like one musical sentence, so I'd connect it all. Going back to the double bars. Rest. You're going to connect that. That's fine. And then same thing. When you get over to page 3 in the second line, do the best you can. There's no articulation given. Just connect them as best you can. The melody is the top note. But it would be nice to hear this descending passage in the left hand. Like so. Just connect it as best you can on the slurs. And when you get the articulation sort of like you can change this a little later as you get to know it, but that's a good start. Now we go back and add the dynamics. You have to be careful with dynamics because this is pedaled very heavily and the pedal can affect everything. So it's soft at the beginning and it's really the melody. Remember, the dynamic given applies to the melody and everything else has to adjust accordingly. So this is soft. Everything else is under that. Still soft. Now you got a swell. You're going to continue to hear. Look in the middle of the swell to see where you're headed. Just say here to here. And that's where we want. And then come back down. Now in that swell you're not going to get loud because this is overall soft. So you might just come up to a medium, so just getting a little louder on that. Come back down to soft, and now it's very soft for this chord. Now it's moderately loud. Now we start the piece, and that's the melody. That's moderately loud. Everything else is soft. You got that swell again. Go up to loud and then come back down. Louder here. Come back down. Now you're soft. It's like an echo of that. See that decrescendo, that arrow there? This is the last line on page 2, the third measure. You hear? You come down. Just come off it. You almost don't need these arrows because when you interpret music, you really just kind of do that. Next measure is like an echo of that. It's very soft, going to about the really soft. to the bottom. Now moderately loud again. Louder. Now you're loud. And stay loud. This is loud. Everything else is softer than that. Now come back down to about a moderately loud or moderately soft, whichever. Now it's moderately loud. And it says poco animato there. That means a little animated, which means speed it up a little bit. A little softer. A little softer. I want to hear the A through all of that. I want to hear that. Now moderately loud again. Now again, as before, the melody's the top note. That's what we want to hear. That's what's moderately loud. But we'd like to hear this descending passage in the left hand, so you can play that out a little bit. That's just a quarter note. Comes down. Now you're soft again. By the way, they never told you when to slow back down. They said a little animated up there, and they didn't do anything else. Well, it's kind of an interpretive thing. When do you slow back down? Because you're not going to stay animated throughout the whole thing. I suggest you come back down toward the middle of the third line. When you get this, you can start slowing back down to what you were doing before. You didn't speed up very much. Poco means just a little. So, just a regular speed, what we were doing at the beginning, whatever that was. So now, for the coda, it's like it was at the beginning. Same speed, soft, that's the right hand. Left hand has to be very, very soft. Now it's very soft, that's the melody. Everything else is super soft. Now it's very soft and it's both hands. It's almost like an afterthought. And then that thing at the very end, the triple P, piano pianissimo, or pianissimo, however you want to say it, is extremely soft. Now a lot of teachers, when they see that, they will say, go ahead and use the soft pedal on that. So if you want to use the soft pedal on that to help you, I have problems with that. People will tend to use the soft pedal as a crutch because they can't get their hands to do that. I would prefer you have the technique. So you simply, rather than coming straight down on the note, you come down at an angle. You kind of pull it toward you. And this motion of this, rather than this, allows the key to go down slower. And when the key goes down slower, it gets softer. So if I just you can actually do that so slow that the hammer won't even hit the string. Well, that's too slow. So experiment. It's a little dangerous. On different pianos, it's different. You have to be careful on that. Just try not to have to use the unicorda pedal or the soft pedal for this if you can help it. If you have to, you have to. Then when we get all that sort of worked out, then we add the pedal. We want the overtones, and we need help in connecting the notes. See, pedal is used for various reasons. People just, a lot of times when they play a piece of music, they just automatically pedal everything. They don't really understand why they're using pedal. They just pedal everything. I would like you to understand why to use the pedal. We learn the piece without the pedal first so we can hear everything, and we can hear exactly what the fingers and hands are doing. This way we're in a better position to know when we need the pedal. You only use it when you need it. So here, as I said, we're using it for the overtones because we want a full sound here. It's a pretty piece. It's a small C piece, you know. A lovey-dovey piece, a sad piece, yeah. And we need some help in connecting because the left hand's got all these chords. We can't connect them without the pedal. We need that. I'm going to use syncopated pedal. overlapping pedal, legato pedal, whatever you want to call it, I don't care. The point is the notes go down first and then the pedal follows it, and when I change the pedal, it's after I play the notes or as I play the notes, usually a little after. If you start doing it as you play the notes, you're taking a chance because you could accidentally change the pedal too soon. And if that happens, you'll get a little bit of silence in there. It won't be legato. So it's better to do it after you play the note rather than take the chance of playing it or doing it before. Beginning, I push the notes down first and then the pedal. And then I'll change it after I play the notes in the next measure. Now here. And again. Yeah. Now just, it's the same harmony, so we're just going to keep the pedal down. Because that whole chord is extremely soft anyway. You just want to run it all together. Now there are different ways of interpreting this. So another way of doing this is we want to hear the phrasing in the right hand. And if we do that, we need to raise the pedal up, lift the pedal up with the right hand. So we'll start at the beginning again. It would be this way. Push the notes, then the pedal. Now I'm going to lift the pedal with the right hand. A little bit of silence before we go on. Again. Now overlap. See, there's two different interpretations there, and it's up to you which you use, or your teacher, if you have one, they'll tell you what you want. And this chord, very softly, and how fast you roll it is up to you. Experiment. Try it at different speed. It can be slow, doesn't have to be fast. And then one beat rest, and then we go on. Here, I would like to hear a little silence there. They're showing overlapping pedal throughout, but I would like to hear silence. Again, it's an interpretive thing. You have to experiment. You can overlap it and connect it, or have a little silence between those, because it's a different slur. What's the point in having the slurs if you're just going to run it all together? Just put a slur over the whole thing, sort of. There is a point to it, but I won't get into it. So let's start again at the double bars there in the second line where the piece starts here. If I run it all together like they're showing in the book, they're not pedaling this because we're coming off. We'll get rid of the overtones here. Let's clean it out. It's soft. Rest. Rest. Now the overtones come back. Now, look up. There are different ways of pedaling this at the top of page 3. They're saying in the book, they're showing here and here. They're not pedaling this. I got problems with that. And that is because there's a crescendo. We want to build the sound up. When you release the pedal, you're killing out all the overtones. That reduces the sound. It doesn't raise it up. So in my opinion, I would continue to overlap pedal all of that. You just have to change the pedal every 2 beats in that second measure, or with each half note. So to begin at the beginning of the line, it's here. Here. Keep it down. We want the overtones. If I play it without overtones, it's that. It's rather dry. I'm building it up. I don't want dry. I want lots of sound. So pedal. Pedal, change it. And then change it again when you play the E in the next chord. And again, how fast you play that chord is up to you. You have to get into the music and you feel it. You'll get an idea how fast to play the chord. Here, that's out loud. Now they took away the pedal, and now they're adding the pedal. No, I disagree with that. Totally disagree with that. We're dying away is fine. So taking the pedal away when you die away is fine, because then you get rid of the overtones. It helps clean it out a little bit. but we're still pretty loud here, and we're just starting to die away. And so I would suggest you keep the pedal there in the last two measures of the first line. Pedal that. Just change it with the half notes. Here. See, if I were going to leave pedal out anywhere, it would be the last measure, here. That's because that's the softest part of it, and that's where I can... The problem is I don't go down to soft. I'm still fairly loud here, so I want the pedal. So yeah, but lift it up before you play the quarter note. It's like a new phrase. You see the double bars? There's no, it's pick up to the thing. Change it with the first note of the chord. Here, no pedal here. Now we just cleaned it all out. It's contrast. Because here we're and then suddenly it's... And I would not pedal that last measure either. Because if I pedal it, it adds the overtones. And I want it to die away. I don't want to add overtones. However, there are times when you will add a pedal to a longer held out note, because adding the overtones helps to color the note, and it's not quite so dry. So maybe that's the reason you're doing it here, just to add some color to the last note. Well, if you do that, the overtones are going to have the effect of getting a little louder, so play it a little softer. Last two measures of the third line. And then the coda part where it's just all small C and lots of overtones here. It's soft, but that's all right. And again, you can lift up if you want to hear silence between the phrases. And definitely lift up here. And run all this together. And there's a little danger there. We'll talk about it. Because we want it to die away. Well, there's a problem in the way music is constructed and the way the physics works and all that, is when you start low type thing and you go up, all of these low notes are still sounding as you're going up, and you want the sound to die away. It would be nice to lose those tones so the sound can die away. So I'm going to suggest, rather than holding the pedal down all the way through, change it on the second measure. And it is a type of, it's a little more advanced pedaling technique. And if you don't get it, then just hold the pedal down all the way. The idea is you're going to flutter pedal, and you're not letting the pedal all the way up. It's just this. And that'll kill out some of these overtones from below, but it'll let the rest ring through. So here, when I start the last line, I'm going to start the... And that lets all that other sound die away, and it just kind of gets... Otherwise, you keep it. You got all that sound going, and we don't want that. We want it to go away. If you just flutter pedal a little bit, just move it a little bit, that helps it to die away quicker. And then the last note here, if it's soft enough, you can release the pedal, leave the note down, release the pedal, and it'll just die away on its own. If it's not soft enough, you do it the other way. The pedal's down, the note's down. If it's not soft enough, you let the note up, keep your hand there, let the note up, and then slowly lift the pedal up so the dampers barely touch the string and the sound will die away. We don't want to come to a beautiful halt here, and then all of a sudden, no sound. What? You know, it's like, it's got to die away all the way to the end. And this is how we can do that. Now once you have a handle on all that, and then we go back and we put it in cut time. We want to feel this in a slow 2. It says andante con moto. Well, andante is a nice strolling, I call it a casual walk, a stroll through the park. Con moto with motion. So don't stroll too slow. But that's the feel of it. Just think of a nice casual stroll. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And then here the beat kind of goes away. As far as I'm concerned, you can add a fermata on that. We're in no hurry to go on. And then when we're ready, we're back to our stroll again. Problem with that. If we're doing this here, we don't have time to roll that chord much. I mean, it's top of page 3 here. I don't want to get it too vulgar here, but I would kind of, I almost put a fermata over that chord too, so you can hang on to it. Don't worry about the beat, and then go on. It's just an afterthought. You're kind of sitting there daydreaming and thinking about all the wonderful things that are your trouble you've been or seen or something. I don't know. There's all in the last 2 lines there on page 3. In the 3rd measure over, there's a poco allargando. That means a little slower. Spread it out a little bit. So slow it down. Now you got a fermata there. You're just going to hang on to it for a while. And then when you're ready, there's an a tempo. That means go back to your whatever speed you were going before you changed it. And there's a diminuendo. Gradually get slower. Take your time. You don't slow down. Just get softer. And then when you're ready, and then as I said before, you can lift the note up and then slowly lift the pedal up, and the sound slowly dies away, hopefully. And that's my impression of this piece. The idea with this is you got to get to know the piece so you're not thinking about the mechanics and notes and rhythms and where to go when. And you get into the music. That's when you start feeling the music. And that's where really the dynamics come into play and the interpretation comes in. We got to learn to interpret music. Well, you got to learn the music first so you can focus on the emotional message the music has to give you. And different types of music will give you different messages. We can talk about that. That's my impression of this piece.